There's a car around the block from Luigi's club. The inside is covered in brains.
So we're at the DCA with Brains McLoud, looking at the early screening of California Schemin here at DCA Dundee. What is the best part about Dundee other than leaving it?
Yeah, there's like some not so cool places, but there's also some like really beautiful places. Like I brought my girlfriend up, and she just loved it. But I only really showed her like the hills in Perth, Broughty Ferry, this place. Haven't taken her to Lockheed or Fintry yet.
Foggy Lee Gardens, yeah. Foggy Lee's lovely this time of year. Both my vans got broken into last year at Foggy Lee. It's lovely.
It's got its charms. Dundee for me, if you know the story, like I came from like South Africa, landed in Motherwell. And because I was just very different, looked different, I had different colour skin, I had different hair, I was just a target. I'd get beat up all the time. I got so brutally beaten for so long that by the time I came to Dundee, it was like, whoa, skateboarders and punks and goths. So for me, Dundee was like a new world, and I credit it for rebirthing my confidence, because I would never have had the confidence to become a rapper and to take the creative journey I have.
You're saying you're romanticising Dundee, but shouldn't you be thanking the youths of Motherwell for pushing you out of there more than anywhere else?
Actually, one of them, when he read the book, he did reach out to me because he realised what happened changed his life as well, because he got taken out of his family and he led a whole different life. And so he reached out when he read the book, thanking me for not naming him, because that might have caused him a lot of trouble.
Which is all going to change as we name him right now.
Shout outs to So yeah, like sometimes it is crazy and it's a bit cliche, but like everything does happen for a reason if you're willing to fight to make it happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, shouts out to
shout out Motherwell. Thank you, Motherwell young team.
yeah, young teams of Motherwell.
Did you insist no, we need to have this in Dundee for a screening? Or was that like a more marketing thing? But did you kind of push for that?
No, see, I've always had like a good relationship with the DCA. So when we did the documentary, that's when it was like, let's do the screening here. And then like all these years later, as soon as it was going to come out here, it was like they were in Toronto seeing the first ever kind of screenings of it. So they were like, they wanted the premiere, like the UK premiere. And I think Glasgow Film Festival got it, but it was always going to be one of the first showings in the UK were going to be here. Being a rapper and like just so in love with like your art and you're so inside yourself. But I remember standing outside Istanbul and having an argument with a guy who was like, we had a song played in one of the nightclubs, and he came up to me straight away and he was like, that song's crap, and he started ripping it. And I was like, mate, and I saw him outside Istanbul, and I was like, you just wait, nice. And then we had a fight. And we got separated, but like all these years later, I just want to I hope that guy's here. Yeah. But no, it's cool. There's always going to be, there's some people who like I had issues with like back in the day, but like a lot of them have reached out to me and they've been like, look, we just love that you've kind of gone all the way, like just take it as far as you can go, So yeah.
What goes into a well-crafted lie?
Truth. The best. I think as well is like if there isn't
malice.
Yes. Well, also like so I just said there like my thing is I've always said like I'm gonna do this thing even when it's not true, because then I will go and do it and I can't get out of it. So like when I did the first ever interview with The Guardian, I told them I'd written the book and I hadn't.
Right.
And so then they published.
Typical Silibil N Brains fashion.
So they published it in The Guardian. It was like books coming out. I thought, oh my God. But then the cool thing about that is like, I would never say I can do something when I can't. Don't say you can do something if you can't do it. You must be able to do it. Like you must be able to prove your worth.
Does Fast Eddie get a cameo? Did you reach out to his people?
No.
Why not?
I wish he was on board. I wish he was there, and every scene just peeking his head in.
Harmonica in every scene, regardless of tone.
Yeah. Just there in the background. Just to see his name in the credits would have been amazing.
As himself.
Yeah.
Did you ever think in a million years you'd be sitting there going, I can't believe Professor X telling the world my story? Or did you hope it was another X-Men?
Just going to make a cup of tea.
Yeah, like if it was, Wolverine or something.
Go fuck yourself.
I was like, it's so hard to get a movie made, and it was on the verge of falling apart. The day that James McAvoy came on board, it was about to fall apart. And he came on board, and within 6 months they were filming. So like, you realize what star power is when someone comes on board, but also like they come on board with an energy and a vision, and they get it. Like when you're young, or when you've done something when you're young, and you try to recreate that on film, like especially if you're a band and you work with like music video makers, and they're old, they're like, it's not to be ageist, but they just kind of don't really get your genre or what you're in. And so when I was worried that was going to be the case, but McAvoy came on knowing the time period, knowing like what he wanted to create with it. Our first conversation was almost entirely about process and like how you see it and stuff like that. We didn't have any conversation about who he is, or it was just like what's supposed that you can envision, and that's why I was like, oh my god, this is going to be good, because he totally gets it. He's an artist to his core, you know. So yeah.
Keeping that star power in mind, and this might be hearsay, and I'll cut this part if it is. Am I right in saying that you originally rejected the screenplay from Irvin Welsh?
No, it wasn't rejected. It was like we were working together, and Irvin was like one of the first people that I showed chapters of the book to. I showed him like the full book, and he was like, "This is amazing. Don't let them touch it." And so he was always telling me like, "Don't let people over edit your stuff," you know. And it was just a case of like the documentary came around, and it caused a little bit of a problem because there was now 2 films on the go. And then Irvin wrote a script, and then he just didn't have time to. Well, there wasn't time because it was like, now we got to let go, and time in the film business is like money, you know. And no one wanted to like add in more money at that point. And so Irvin's script was cool. I don't know if it was like, if he completely got what this was like genre-wise of like hip hop and the importance of like rap. But yeah, I still love Irvin. He's been like super important because like he was like one of the first people that ever read anything I wrote, and he was like, nice. He was like, stop calling yourself something. You're a writer. Like believe, you know, like have some balls. Like go to them and say F off if you need to, you know. So I started telling a lot of people F off.
Nice.
And Irvin said so. So, you know.
What's the next accent for Brains? Maybe you're going to go Jamaican and take the patois rap game by storm?
I do love Jamaican boys. I think for me, when it comes to music now, it's like I've managed to get, because I've obviously come from like obviously punk rock as well, and I've managed to get to a place where I'm like super comfortable with how I sound on a mic, which is for musicians and singers specifically, it's like, yeah, it's like half the battle, you know, because like when you're young, you're just kind of like, you have to mess around, and you have to, you know, you have to try loads of things out. And so now I'm kind of just happy. Now when I turn the microphone on, I don't think anymore about the voice.
After the theatrical release comes out 10th of April, you've also got the audiobook coming out the same day that you've been filming that, I mean recording that.
No, I mean, I've got like 3 or 4 records ready to go. Like, the thing is, like, even working on the soundtrack for this was a lot of the songs were from the past, and I had to remake them for this. So there's only really like 1 or 2 new songs there. Like the end title song is brand new, but like I've got like, you can imagine what it's like when you're in music. Like you always have like 3 or 4 records that's your new stuff, and whatever someone hears is 2 years ago. Yeah. So I'm starting to get into the process of just like record and release, you know, because there's no point not doing that now. You can't like worry about making the perfect record and then release it through press. Just get it out, you know. So I'm getting into that process of just like record, release, go, you know. So that's where we're at now, which is a good place to be.
Gavin McLoud from the Clan McLoud, thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.